served on the Sacramento City Council for 5 years before being elected to the California Assembly, where he is in his 6th year, at the end of his 3rd term. And during his time there, he has been 100% vote on LGBT rights. He has voted for many bills. But he's actually done more than that. For his first 4 years, he was chair of the Judiciary Committee, where twice we brought a marriage equality bill forward. And the way he handled the committee hearings, the committee analysis that was relied on by the California Supreme Court in the marriage ruling was really critical. Something we really are so grateful for. And I'm so grateful that a couple people today have said tonight, what does the insurance commissioner have to do with our community? They can't go to the broad thing, but what specifically? So I just want to touch on 2 things. The first is California is the only state in the country to require every insurance company to only offer coverage that treats domestic partners and same-sex couples the same as married heterosexual couples. It's a bill we sponsored that Senator Christine Keno was the author of, and it's really critical. And it's the insurance commissioner and that department that enforces that, and it actually prevents even groups that don't like us from giving coverage to spouses but not to domestic partners. So it's a critical bill, and who's in there is really important. But another bill that I know the Assemblymember supported is also the only one in this country, which is our Gender Identity and Non-Discrimination Act, which prohibits insurance companies and healthcare plans from treating transgender people in a discriminatory fashion. And if you give coverage for a service, you can't deny it because someone is transgender. Our current insurance commissioner, Steve Poizner, who is now turned to a right-wing candidate for governor, and is still in our modern days, has not issued regulations to make that enforceable. So it's really critical we elect an insurance commissioner who will issue the regulations so that is enforced so transgender people get the health care they need and deserve in equal footing. So we're really fortunate to have a great candidate here tonight who's running, and with that, Assemblymember Dave Jones.
Geoff, thank you for that very kind introduction, and John, thank you as well. And I want to thank both of you and Angle and Equality California and all of the sponsors and co-hosts this evening for putting together this wonderful meet and greet. I have been on the campaign trail for over a year now, and my voice is beginning to sound like it. So this may be the shortest speech you've ever heard from a politician, and there's a lot of applause for that. There you go. But thanks again for giving me a chance to talk to you a little bit about my candidacy. And I'm very excited about the Office of Insurance Commissioner. A number of you have asked me, why would you run for that? And I think as Geoff very eloquently pointed to, it's a tremendous opportunity to make sure that we protect all sorts of communities in California from discrimination and from being taken advantage of. It is perhaps the state's most important consumer protection agency. When you think about it, each and every one of you here probably has 5 or 6 lines of insurance. If you drove here, your car is insured. If it's not, don't tell me about it. I'm here to the home you live in is insured. If you have a business, you have 4 or 5 lines of insurance probably. If you're not one of the unlucky 6.7 million Californians without health insurance, you have health insurance, and on and on and on. And in a number of cases, what happens is the peace of mind that you purchase, the security that you purchase, that you pay for month after month, year after year, when you need that help, you end up in a fight. And the role of insurance commissioner is to protect the consumer, protect the business who have the insurance, and stand up for you in those disputes with the industry. But more importantly than that, also to regulate the market and regulate the conduct of players in the market. Now, there's a heck of a lot of debate going on throughout this country about health insurance reform. And I'll just tell you flat out, I'm an advocate for single-payer universal health care. I think that's where we ought to go. And that's another reason why I'm running for this office. But while we build towards that, there's some tremendously important things we can do. And one of them is to look closely at what's happening here in California and other states with the rising price of health insurance. And some of you may have seen some of the coverage of the legislative hearings I held the other week on Anthem Blue Cross's 39% rate hike. Now, this is not a, unfortunately, novel outcome with Anthem Blue Cross. In fact, this 39% increase follows years of double-digit increases, and they're not alone. But I asked the CEO of Anthem Blue Cross when we had her before me in the committee, how much money have you guys made? And what we discovered was from 2007 to 2009, Anthem has made $3 billion in profits. that they've upstreamed to their parent company, WellPoint in Indianapolis, as dividends. WellPoint, in 1 year alone last year, made $4.7 billion in profits. And Anthem also has close to $1 billion in surpluses beyond what the regulators require. I think enough is enough. When you have a situation where these rate increases are not in any way, shape, or form justifiable, and we have a market which is characterized by a few players who are able to charge such prices and garner such profits, that's a situation that calls for regulation. So I've introduced legislation to do exactly that, to extend Proposition 103's rate regulation to health insurance. And that's the other reason I'm running for this office, is to use the authority of this office that currently exists to protect consumers as best we can from rate increases, but also to look for opportunities where necessary to extend the authority of the office to further protect consumers and further protect businesses. Now, I want to just touch a little bit on where I come from with regard to LGBT issues. And I want to share with you a personal story, if I may. I was actually raised in a very, very conservative, fundamentalist Christian household, where I was taught that it was a sin to be a gay or a lesbian. And thankfully, I had the independence of mind when I was in high school and college to question those beliefs and break from those beliefs. But perhaps the most signature moment for me, and a moment that I think forever has seared in my consciousness the importance of fighting for equality and civil rights for this community and all communities, was my senior year of college. When my friend John Teaster called me up after I'd been living abroad for a semester. We were planning to take an apartment together in the little town of Greencastle, Indiana. This was 1983. We were in fraternity together, fraternity brothers, and we were going to take an apartment together and live out in town. And he called me up, and I just returned from Europe, and we were about ready to, meet in Greencastle, Indiana, a large town of 20,000 people in the center of Indiana, at our little conservative Midwestern college. And he said, "Look, I've got something to tell you. I'm gay." And I would understand perfectly if you didn't want to live with me. And I said, "What are you talking about? You're my friend. Of course I'm going to live with you." He said, "No, you don't understand. This is not going to go over really well in Greencastle or in our college or our fraternity for that matter." I said, "Look, it doesn't matter to me. You're my friend, and we'll get through this thing." And I did incredibly underestimate the reaction of that community. And what John likes to say is, I got all the homophobia without any of the benefits. But we got through it. I mean, including the lynch mob that was parked in front of our apartment, the hate mail, the attacks as we walked across campus, and on and on and on. It moved me to form a student issues forum where I invited LGBT speakers and LGBT clergy to campus, frankly, to rock their little world a little more, but also to try to do the best we could to educate and persuade people that their views were really, really grounded in ignorance. So that was a stirring moment for me. And I think if you look throughout my career, I have been very, very committed to making sure that we have full equality. As a city council member, I introduced the ordinance to provide for domestic partnership both within the city, but also with businesses that we were contracting with. Any entity contracting with the city of Sacramento that was offering benefits to a spouse, under my ordinance, had to offer them also to a domestic partner. And probably one of the most proudest moments for me was chairing the Judiciary Committee and helping Mark Leonard move through his first marriage equality bill and crafting the analysis in a way that it would withstand what we knew was ultimately going to be a challenge, but also provide the legal analysis that ultimately the Supreme Court would look to in part in making its decision that this is a fundamental right in our Constitution. So my commitment to you is, as Insurance Commissioner, I will continue to use this office as a bully pulpit to fight for full equality. I will continue to use this office to fight for full equality in each and every aspect of life here in California and throughout the United States. And I look forward to the day in the not distant future when we have that equality. So I thank you so much for taking a chance to come out and learn a little bit about my candidacy. We are in a Democratic primary right now. The election is June 8th. We're in the final sort of 90 days of that race. And we've been really pleased by the level of support we're getting, including an endorsement from John Chung, our state controller, Darrell Steinberg, our Senate president, Sheila Kuehl, John Laird, Tom Amiano, and many, many others in the state legislature. This week we're announcing as well the endorsement of Roberta, one of the premier civil rights activists here in California and a co-founder of the United Farm Workers, and I'm so delighted to have John's endorsement as well. And so we've got a great campaign. We'd be excited to have you join it. Hopefully we've gotten your contact information. There's a variety of ways you can get involved and participate. And so I would love to have your individual support and your help in turning this office back to what it was once under John Garamendi, which is an office that truly stands for consumers and makes a difference in the lives of Californians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Dave will stick around for questions. I'll let you all talk among yourselves. Thank you all for being here. Our next event is going to be for Betsy Butler for State Assembly, the Equality Californians endorsed candidate for Assembly, and we'll let you know more info about that. Thank you, Rich Grossi. Thank you, staff here at Club 11, and we'll let you go back to your party. Thank you, Equality California.